What's going on, YouTube? We are back at it again today in the Loco Bike Shop. We are here in the back. I'm going to be running you guys through a bike check of my official World Champs race rig for Emtb and EDR. So I'm going to start off with my Bosch e-bike system. So basically, this bike is an 800 watt-hour battery paired with the Bosch Performance CX motor. This motor boasts 110 newton meters of torque, which provides me a huge advantage on the uphills. This thing just has so much power off the bottom end to get up those punchy steep climbs and whatnot, and it's super robust. I haven't had any issues with durability or manufacturing errors, anything whatsoever. It's been nothing but a pleasure to be riding their system, and it's been holding up great. Their user interface is super easy to get to know. Basically, you have your console right here, which is where you turn the bike on, and it even has a secondary button to change your modes if you smash your Bluetooth remote or wire remote. I opted for the Bluetooth remote on this bike, so it's a little bit more user friendly. There's no cables or anything to get in your way, and it's a little harder to break, so which is definitely what I'm after for quality wise. So yeah, that's pretty much the e-bike system that's in this bike. It's super durable, definitely worth the money. And yeah, moving on to the suspension here. Up front, I got a 170mm RockShox ZEB. That is a 38mm chassis fork. This fork features a Charger 3.1 damper with high and low speed compression and high speed rebound dampening. These forks and shocks actually also come with hydraulic bottom out bumpers, which is a huge added bonus to these bikes. Meaning a hydraulic bottom out bumper is basically a needle valve that when you hit the bottom of your travel, it just ramps up the dampening so much, so you don't get that super harsh metal to metal feeling when you're bottoming out through a huge compression and going deep on a jump or a drop or whatever. It's a super nice thing to have, and that's accommodated in both the fork and the shock. So again, this is a 170mm 38 chassis fork. I like the little bit stiffer forks for kind of fits my moto riding style a little bit better. So out back, we have the RockShox Vivid Ultimate DH Air Shock. This shock breathes really well compared to maybe some of RockShox's other trail shocks that might tend to heat up a little bit more frequently, especially on a heavy, high-powered e-bike. So having this shock that has high and low speed compression circuits, high speed rebound, and another hydraulic bottom out circuit, just like it is in the fork, provides a huge advantage for tuning. You can really tune the shock to exactly how you need it to feel underneath yourself. On any sort of kinematical platform from bike to bike, brand to brand and such. So having this suspension front and rear is just such a game changer. It's super reliable, super robust, and I've never had any issues with it. It's really a dream come true to have SRAM and RockShox both come together and come out with a super quality build. So speaking of SRAM components, we're going to move on to our drivetrain here. Over there. So I get a SRAM XX transmission, the best of the best, super robust, super durable. I personally opted for the maxxis option, which means it's Bluetooth compatible. So that actually goes for my derailleur and my dropper post. They're both Bluetooth compatible. There's no cables. As you can see, I only have 2 brake hoses for the majority of the cables on my bike, which makes it super straightforward. Even my speed sensor, which you can see right here, it's this little black box underneath the valve stem. Totally Bluetooth, wireless. There's no speed sensor wire, which actually I've had problems with in the past on other bikes, breaking the cable, and then you don't have a speed sensor. The bike can't tell how fast it's going, so then it goes into limp mode on the trail, which is not good. Super bulletproof platform, but the transmission is along the same lines. As you can see, instead of having a derailleur hanger, it has this, they call it a universal derailleur hanger, UDH for short. So basically what that means is it bolts directly onto the rear frame triangle, the chainstay rather, and just provides a super durable point of contact. It'll never bend, you can stand on it. It's also has this breakaway feature for the lower part of the cage, so if you were to smash on a rock, it'll come back out and go right back into the desired gear you were in. As you can see, when I smash it like that, it just takes a second or two, but it comes right back into position. So that's also another huge bonus to have on the e-bike. It only shifts on certain ramped points on the cassette. So that provides flawless shifting throughout. This bike's ripping 110 newton meters of torque into the drivetrain, so it's got to have the most robust system known to man. And fortunately enough, SRAM happens to have that system, so huge thanks to them. Another SRAM component that I've been running and loving across all the different bikes that I have outside of my dirt jumper is the SRAM Maven brakes. These are SRAM's newest 4-piston hydraulic brakes. I run 220 millimeter rotors front and rear, the HS2 rotors to be exact, for a little bit more added cooling effect, if you will. These brakes have been a game changer for my e-bike, seeing that they have just such incredible stopping power. Like, you can do stoppies forward, backwards, and sideways with these things. I even actually have them on my SRAM Light B, which is a 120-pound motorcycle, and that thing does stoppies just fine. These brakes are super durable. You can go with organic or metallic brake pads. I go for metallic brake pads, front and rear, to have the most stopping power possible on a 50 to 55-pound e-bike as such. So yeah, the Mavens have just been awesome compared with their ultimate lever and caliper. It's just unbeatable durability and reliability for that matter. So moving on to my dropper post, I have a 150 millimeter reverb axis dropper post. So this dropper post is Bluetooth. I have these SRAM pod modules on my bars. Basically, it has 2 buttons, top and bottom. On your shifter side, one's higher, one's lower. And then for the dropper side, they both do the same thing. So it's pretty straightforward. If you were to say have a bike with flight attendant system provided by RockShox, SRAM RockShox, the other button on the dropper side would basically control your dampening on your fork and shock. So that's something that's super cool. That's coming out soon. Some of my teammates have been riding it, and I've heard really good things about it. So that'll be super cool to see how it integrates onto the e-bike. Outside of that, for my controls, I'm running a Renthal 40 millimeter tall bar, 740 millimeters wide, on top of a 40 millimeter Renthal stem. For my grips, I'm running the ODI Elite Pros. Really can't go wrong. I've been running these grips for years, and I've broken my hands both a couple of times, and the kind of extruded part over the top of through the middle of your palm really helps with comfort over those long downhill descents that we race in enduro. So been loving those ODI grips, and then on top of that, running a Cane Creek headset with RockShox carbon stem spacers to kind of get that feel of exactly where I need to be, you know, stack wise. I'm fortunate enough to be supported by Send It Emtb. They actually make some super sick handguards, which I'm a huge fan of coming from a motocross background. I have this weird thing about like my hands being out in the open and brushing trees and stuff, you know, like your hands are outside of your feet, the second most important contact point between you and your bicycle. So having that extra reassurance that my hands aren't going to get torn up is, you know, quite the boost of confidence, and you know, can allow you to get creative with some lines. If there's some trees or branches in the way, you know, you can kind of get creative and punch through them, you know, thanks to these. They're super solid. They have aluminum brackets. The actual handguard themselves are plastic, but as you can see, as I'm squeezing them here, they're super solid. You can either mount them to your lock-on grips, which is a very cool feature about them. You can integrate them right onto your lock-on grip, or you can run them like I have, which are just directly mounted to the bar with their OEM mounting clamp. So yeah, those are my handguards. Really love the extra hand protection. And then now we're gonna move to our wheels and tires. Another super important contact point on your bike. So I'm fortunate enough to be supported by maxxis tires through the RE Factory Racing program, as well as DT Swiss. So maxxis tires have been a staple in the industry for years and years and years. I'm running a 2.5 Ascii Max Grip downhill casing front. So the Max Grip offers a bit softer compound to accommodate wet rocks, roots, all the kind of slippery stuff. Just more overall front end traction. I haven't been a huge fan of the Ascii in the past because I hadn't spent the most time on it. This year, I had a lot of questions, you know, going out west and racing from my teammates, Nick Nesteroff, Kaylee Skelton, Jacob Snow, and asking them, you know, what has kind of brought them the most success in those kind of conditions, seeing that I don't ride them that much. And they recommended me the Ascii, so I just kind of went with it and tried to learn the ins and outs of it, and I've actually really liked it, and so much so that I brought it back as my main tire out here on the East Coast, which I used to be a DHR front and rear diehard. That's the only tires I'd run. So having the Ascii up front is a super awesome added bonus to the program for some extra traction. In the rear, I have a 2.4. This bike is mullet, also 29 front, 27.5 rear. So in the rear, I have a 27.5 Max Grip DHR2 2.4 in width. So this tire is basically, you can't go wrong. It's the DHR2 is a staple in downhill mountain biking almost since the beginning, and provides traction in all sorts of adverse conditions: dry, soaking wet, snow, ice, you name it. Raced it in World Champs last year in the snow and ice, did great. Yeah, it's just all reliable, if you will, like SpongeBob's spatula in that one episode, right? It's just, it works in all conditions, and you can always count on it to hook up. You know, when you're in doubt, just go to the DHR2. You know what I mean? So on the wheel side, we're also super fortunate to be running DT Swiss wheels. These are the best wheels in the industry. Super bulletproof. I haven't even broken a wheel yet this year on this e-bike. Like, this thing is heavy, and these wheels just refuse to break. So I'm running the EX471 wheel set with a 30mm internal width. These wheels are just an absolute game changer for durability wise. Like, you can run some crazy low pressures between the maxxis tire compounds and the reinforced qualities of the DT Swiss wheels, and just get unmatched traction compared to some other combinations I've ran in the past. And man, it's just such an added peace of mind to, you know that I have the most durable build, you know, on the market, basically, from my perspective. You know, couldn't really ask for anything more. Yeah, so huge shout out to DT Swiss and maxxis tires for that hookup. So for my pedals, which is something that is actually a super personal feel, we're fortunate enough to be sponsored by Crank Brothers, and I'm running their Emtb pedals with maximum flow cleats. So what that actually means is, with a typical pedal like your Shimano SBD, the second you pivot your feet on your cleats, they're just going to pop right out of the pedal. So these Crank Brothers cleats actually feature, you can get high radius cleats and low radius cleats. So the high radius cleats allow you to pivot from a range of degrees left and right before the cleat will actually unclip out of the pedal, which is awesome because it provides an experience similar to riding a dirt bike. You know, you almost angle your feet to try and weight the bike appropriately, and these pedals accommodate that motion just fine. And it's been a huge bonus for my riding style personally. You know, I like to get wild on the bike, and these pedals allow me to kind of float around and not necessarily unclip all the time. You know, I unclip when I need to, but they've got the extra added float, so I'm not just unclipping and riding super inconsistently all the time. So huge shout out to Crank Brothers for those pedals, cleats, and shoes. So outside of that, that's pretty much the bike head to toe. If you guys have any more extra questions about maybe some other things I didn't go through, or tire pressure or suspension pressure for fork and shock or settings or whatever, let me know in the comments. But that's been my bike check of my official 2025 RE Bikes Timp World Champs Edition. Thank you everybody for watching. This has been another YouTube video and from the Maxwell page. And yeah, well, let me know what you guys want to see next. I'm going to be headed off to Europe here in just about a week's time, so super excited to get into the racing over there and duke it out for a world title, possibly. So I ain't going over there to get second, and we're just going to keep the high vibes rolling. So thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe, and yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thanks again. Peace.